Welcome. It is November 18th. You're at the Capitol Interpretive Exhibits and Wayfinding Subcommittee. Welcome, DI. Welcome all. I feel like we haven't been together in a little bit longer. All right. So we're called to order. We have a quorum by the skin of our teeth, I guess. So we have Representative Sherwood, Senator Landon, myself. We are missing for the moment Representative Nicholas, Treasurer Meyer, Superintendent Megan-Feather.
And Christy, I'm online. I'm just in the car driving.
Hey,
hello.
Megan, good to hear from you.
Hi.
All right. I'd say we have a short meeting today, and I think both the senator and representative have to be pulled out to go give a report on our stellar endeavors to management council. So I'd say we jump right in with the Capitol kiosk update.
Awesome. Great. Well, first of all, lovely to see everybody. I've got Meg here with me, which you've heard across the ether and one time here in the room. Meg's been leading up a lot of the digital interactive components. So she's the perfect person to walk us through a lot of the stuff we're looking at today. Today's going to be a lot about progress. We were making some really great progress. We're going to look at some physical things as well as walking through some of the stuff that we've been developing for all the interactive stations throughout the Civics Lab next door. But we'll spend a little time on a field trip around the building as well, just so you get up to date with all the stuff that's been happening. Show you a few touchy-feely things for you to react to and see where the progress is going. So let's jump right in and move through the updates.
Welcome, Meg. It's good to have you here.
Yeah, it's my second time, but I get more and more familiar.
That's right.
We drove around downtown a little bit on the way this morning, and I got to point out all the things I've seen.
All right, we're starting with the map kiosks. And I think it is, Jacob, are you ready to kind of walk us through where we're at?
I am. Good morning, everyone. Happy Tuesday. Yes, this is for the package 3, the Capitol kiosks. You've seen the apps around the Capitol. Congratulations there. Right now, the static maps and what you're seeing here is kind of behind a coming soon wall. That way no visitors are not seeing what they're not intended to. We have oriented based on all the printed maps in the Capitol, both north level based orientation and south level based orientation, and that's what you're seeing here. So depending on which kiosk you are in, it gives you just a better understanding of which way you actually need to go in your attempt to find your location. We also have the wayfinding. So in this little GIF here, you'll see this is a part of the room finder, excuse me. So in your attempt to go from kiosk number 1 or whichever one you're on, trying to get to a certain location, you could click on it and it'll help draw you a line, again, based on your orientation of, am I on a north-based orientation kiosk or south-based orientation kiosk to get to whatever location you're trying to get to.
Terrific. I don't know.
And then it calls one of us, and then we walk out together.
We cover this.
Let me walk with you.
All right. Thanks, Jacob. Any questions?
Has everybody seen the kiosks? Terrific.
Great, thank you.
Okay, so we've also been working hard building some elements back at DI, and I think Ashley's going to kind of walk us through our progress there.
Good morning, everybody. So when you guys do your site walk a little bit later, if you haven't seen it on your way in, you're going to stop by the Civics Lab. You're going to see a lot of site work happening. Power and data is near complete for all of our elements that we're going to put into the room. Carpet is also complete, and next steps on site will be wall graphics. So the amazing wall drawings that Nigel has done will go up first week of December, as well as the room that you're sitting in, will be transformed as you are looking at the Four Sisters there in the Capitol Rotunda. So a lot to come graphic wise. What you're seeing on the screen is a couple of the elements throughout the Civics Lab itself. So work in progress, things are happening. Things are very exciting back here to see all of this stuff come from paper and into real life. The Drive Interactive on the Citizens Wall is what's up on the screen right now. So on the left there, we were just testing our monitors to make sure everything fits within the element itself. There in the middle, you'll see all of the different paint callouts. And then on the right is after it's painted. So a little bit more work to do on this one. We've got the doodle that still needs to be added. You guys saw the sample of that a couple months ago. And then all the final fit and finish items on this one. Here we're looking at the consider all sides. There's going to be 2 of the lecterns with 2 monitors in here. And I believe we're going to look at the track loop for this one a little bit later, but you'll see there on the left is just general build. It's starting to shape. In the middle and on the right, we've got some really exciting trim details and venting details for all the technology that'll be within this one. All right, we've got our executive desk. So on the left is just general build. Middle is after it's painted, and then we've got our lovely models there. They're also there in the room with you testing out the technology for how the objects themselves will interact with our touch screen, and we'll also look at some stuff for this one as well today with Meg.
I think we're gonna revoke Ashley's documentarian privileges.
This is raw. This is raw. You guys love it.
It's like we're operating a Ouija board or something. Jeez, look at that.
How would you know that?
That's fun.
All right, and I think this is our last slide here. We've got Nigel taking a look at all of our graphics. So as a process here at DI, we hang up every single graphic on the wall before it's packaged up and shipped out to make sure colors are good, make sure that any Photoshop work that was done it is seamless. And you'll actually see this graphic in the hallway when you guys walk down that today. And then on the right, we've got our Constitution Station, which will be in the middle of the Civics Lab. So you'll see the right picture is one of those columns standing up. It's a little difficult to see. Then you also see the pattern on the floor of that triangle pattern that these columns will be in. And then at the top middle, you start to see some of the capitals and the bases that will be incorporated into this element. I think that's all the pictures that I have. So a lot happening in the shop. These pictures were all taken in the last week, and there's been a lot more developments since then. So we're excited to get this stuff installed for you.
We have some amazing carpenters working. They do
Yeah.
beautiful, beautiful work. It's so much fun to see it come to life.
So
Thanks, Ashley.
Nigel, just a point of interest here. So you have an industrial type shop at your plant that I didn't realize.
Yeah, yeah, it's complete. There's 2 huge sections. One is just kind of the metal shop where all this stuff, all the structural elements in the metal, and then the other is everything from carpentry to paint booths. We have the largest 3D printer in the country in there. So anytime you guys want to come and tour, it's the size of a car wash. It's enormous.
And where exactly is it?
It's in Overland Park, Kansas, which we just say
Overland Park,
Kansas City because
okay.
most people know where that is. But it's a suburb of. Actually, is it Miriam?
It's Miriam, yeah,
It's in
technically
Miriam.
Miriam.
So I don't even know where it is. It's in Miriam. I make it there every day. So.
He has one of those white lines. that are on- Yes.
So, but yeah, I don't know how many square feet the thing is, but it's enormous. The place we took over used to be a popcorn factory.
Yeah.
And then we bought the building next to us and we combined them, and it's fabulous because the engineering department's there, the creative studios upstairs, the motion teams up there, and all the craftsmen, the artists. We have a lab that just kind of figures out new ways to do things. That's there, all these things within the building. So it's fantastic. I can be pushing the mouse around on a design or something up on my desk and then be curious about something and walk down to the floor and see the desk coming to life and talk about making this adjustment, that adjustment, and it's fabulous.
Or ask your craftsman, is this even doable or is this something?
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly, yeah.
Yeah. Do you think we can make something like that? Yeah.
Yeah, because every piece you see there's it's the only thing that, only time it's ever been made or thought of, so it's
Wow.
all completely original to Wyoming here.
I wish we had the wherewithal for the entire committee to get back and meet with you there, since you've met here all these times.
Yeah, what's with that? Yeah, you'd be very welcome. All right. So now it's the Meg show.
Oh, yes. We've got quite a few updates on interactives to show today. The most exciting of we've got our attract loops, and we've even got some updates from last week based on feedback. We'll go station by station here and look at both the attract loops and any screen previews that we have. First up is the welcome. So right when you walk in the room, what may you even get glimpses of through the windows here as well. We've got the Capitol building on with this drawn treatment and then painted in with color here. This touchscreen discard just simple implies that they can interact with this at any point during this interactive to get going, but we hope that they kind of watch this full preview here, and then it just resets in a true attract loop fashion. I'll play it once more here. And that it just engages the user to come into this space and see what it's all about. Great.
Yeah.
And when they tap that, then the video starts that is narrated and welcomes them to experience and into the experience and explains how it's going to work and prompts them to get their journey through the rooms.
Yep. That'll walk them through each station and the intent of the Civics Lab overview. After that video, the small interactive experience that we have is just getting them started on the right path. So we ask them to choose an experience type, whether they're a small group, maybe just a family visiting the Capitol, or a large group, like a actual class here on a field trip. And those two experiences feature a little bit of an overview, instructions, and then a motion graphic here that truly walks them through of where they need to go, how they need to either divide up if they're in that large group setting or if a small group setting to follow a linear path throughout the room. And lastly, we remind them to grab their passport and begin. The passport element throughout the room starts here at the welcome.
So I've got a question, Rihanna. What's the average sized group that you have that we're going to put in that civics lab? I mean, can you give like a ballpark?
Yeah, Mr.
Some of the
Chairman,
groups are pretty big, right?
correct, Mr. Chairman, we are seeing a lot of large groups come to the Capitol, and I think this is busing, but what we do now is we split them between here and the State Museum and the Judicial Learning Center. But what we have the ability to do at the Capitol is we can put one class in the civics lab with one class tours. And if we had to, we could do one class here in this classroom doing a lesson plan, one in the civics lab, one touring. If we really needed to do that rotation. So I think we're gonna try to keep to one class 2025 in the civics lab. But have one group touring if we need to, or swap, or observing if they come during session. Observing session or some kind of, I haven't quite thought through, but just one class in the civics lab.
We are limited in square footage in there. Good size, but 25 makes sense.
And that's how we've kind of built the experience based on that 25, 24 number, and then limiting to like 7 per wall at a time. So there's enough going on for 7 people to be engaged.
Makes sense. Yeah.
Okay, next up we have the Constitution. So just to the left side,
Yep.
around the corner of our triptych piece here, the Constitution attract loop. You've got the Constitution being written on, and it reveals the more fun, vibrant, doodled atmosphere behind it. This is obviously we are we're re-envisioning the Constitution kiosk that has already been done, but for the students and the student age group in mind. So wanted it to feel more engaging. And I think this is really vibrant way to bring them into that historical piece here. That's my favorite. There's a big version of this on the wall out here. I just saw it in the hallway. And then I'm gonna tap in Emilio here to speak to the Constitution kiosk flow here as well.
Good morning, everyone. Yeah, it's a quick update on where the Constitution kiosk is going in the Civics Lab now. The biggest change is we're focusing more on the Articles 1 through 5. So we start after you see the track loop and you engage with the screen, it will go into the intro page, similar to what we have in the historic Supreme Court right now. But then once you enter the menu is broken out more it's broken out now into Articles 1 through 5. We keep the read and explore section, so you still can flip through the entire Constitution, both the handwritten document and the current typeset PDF. And then we still have some topic highlights that we can review. Go to the next one. So quick high level, let's say we start on Article 1. So then it's an Article 1 intro. Then we on the right side, we have feature stories that are related to Article 1. So in this case, equality of all, in this example. And then it's same functionality. You still read get a snippet of the article and section, and then you can click and view the digital replica of it, and you can flip through the pages and all that relates to that particular story. The one thing we added, and then go to the next one, is now we also have translations of certain articles and sections, certain sections of the article. So in this case, we're talking about equal political rights. That's Article 1, Section 3. So then the write-up that's on the screen is what does it mean kind of translation that's similar to what's across the room on each one of the walls. We're following that pattern of like, this is what that section means. And then there's a much contemporary write-up. And then you can still click on the right side, there's the snippet of the section, and then you can click on that, tap on that, and then see the handwritten or the original document that talks about that. So if it follows the same pattern, it's something that everyone's familiar with if they have been to the room. But if you do this first and then go to the other one, it'll feel very familiar because it follows the same user experience. And then just a quick reminder, the read and explore is more flip through pages. So that's the next one. Yep. So let's say we're gonna view the current Constitution. So you click on that. Here's the entire document. You can flip through all the pages and you can zoom in. So similar experience. The look and feel is updated obviously to match the look and feel of the Civics Lab. So just a quick high level rundown of how we moved or how we're taking the Constitution kiosk in this Supreme Court room into the Civics Lab and make it more relevant to the content that's around it.
Thank you, Amelia. We will next jump into the citizen station. This one we have more of an overview. We've got a lot going on behind the scenes with both of these interactives. The Government Impacts You Drive interactive. We're in development of that map. And this game, as we've spoken to in the past, tests visitors' knowledge on government impact in their daily lives. We're really focusing on that key message of how how certain places around town affect them in their daily lives and how they have a government connection. We are featuring the trolley here as a little preview. The trolley that is within Cheyenne here, doodlifying that, and the rest of the map is in development. We have a lot of the gameplay and development as well here. And then the who you're gonna call audio interactive, where the visitor explores levels of federalism, through that cut off there. The 6 issues that have been identified on screen that they can select from, and then it's a guessing sequence that they can guess which level of government or level of federalism that they need to contact in order to resolve that issue or inform them of the issue that they would need to take care of there.
Meg, I'm sorry that you've seen some looks on faces. We were afraid the enemy troops were advancing now.
Are they standing in the
I think we
civic
gotta
lab?
push back for now.
We are constantly at work, so.
There you go.
Next up, we have the legislative station. So we, first up, we have who does this job. I know you guys have seen this overlay before of the legislative portraits interactive. We have made great progress. We're actually gonna look at a little bit of a dev preview, a 50% preview today. As well as the attract loop is built into that. We have Clarine's example built out in that we feature their official portrait as well as a doodle version of that portrait, a part of the attract loop. Then we show more of that lifestyle portrait, and lastly, the story that shows that full representation of who they are out in and outside of the legislative. These are your 6 nominees for these portraits. So we are in the process. We've worked with Rihanna and Wendy to gather assets. We're working with families of all of these members to get their stories represented in the best way possible with photos and actual information to help our writers fill in those stories. So I feel like we have a great variety here all throughout the state. I know that was a big part of it, making sure that the full state was represented, as well as both the Senate and the House here as well.
So Meg, I really appreciate you all's patience with that. That's a difficult lift, and I have no doubt that somebody will say something at some point, but this is pretty good representation.
I agree.
I mean, I've been around for a little while, as you know, and I think that's really a good 6. I'm really pleased about that. It kind of tugs at me a little bit because, you know, I knew every one of them. And some of them aren't here anymore. So that's hard, but really terrific.
Say, I don't believe Stan Blake was in the southeast Wyoming.
Doesn't say southeast.
Oh, southwest.
Should be southwest.
Should be.
Okay.
Yeah, good catch.
I couldn't read it.
didn't see it. I couldn't see that. Yeah, he's actually a Green River guy. Which is over in the southwest part of the state.
Yes, we appreciate that sentiment, and definitely want to honor those that, especially the ones that are no longer here. And I think that this interactive can do that.
Representative Blake, though, was a UP railroad guy, so he was over here in the southeast a lot.
See, that's what.
We gotta make sure the Southwest is
Yeah, there, that's right. Speaking of.
He was born a traveling man, guys, you know.
That's right.
That's good.
Hey, just a little, I know we're under time constraint, but just a little side thing. So Representative Blake at one time headed up the House of Representatives singing group, which for a while that was quite a deal. The House would take on the Senate.
A karaoke.
A karaoke competition.
Other tapes.
And it was the lead singer of the House, and Ray Peterson was the lead singer of the Senate. And it was quite a competition for years. What a great personality Representative Blake is. But anyway, that's a little background for you.
I hope the families share part of that story too. Maybe that's something that can be featured in this and bring that personality to life.
He is very much.
It's usually at a bar.
Now this sounds.
Truly relatable.
Representative Nicholas sang bass for the group. Do, 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 do.
Like I said, the 50% dev review is within file share, ready for you guys to take a look and provide feedback. Again, 50%, we're halfway there. There's the foundation for us to really represent all 6 of these in the end. Next up, the Consider All Sides Interactive, another fun, a track loop here.
Does everybody understand what we mean when we say a track loop?
Repeat.
It's like the steady state, right? It's when nobody's touching it.
Yes.
So this one is was a really collaborative effort to understand what happens in a committee hearing, but also trying to relate to our audience here. So we've come up with this concept of this text-like conversation of everyone's trying to be heard and have their voice. We have set it in an outside environment now. That was the last piece of feedback that we received last week. And then ultimately we end up in the chambers here. So it's full of personality and short little phrases that just say that they're trying to have their voice heard. And they ultimately we want the visitors to understand that when they're in the House chambers, it's time to consider all sides here.
Love it.
Very fun. And this theming is present throughout this entire interactive that I'll walk through here.
That's the way it goes down, just like
Sure
that.
hope our fellow legislators come in.
Wait your turn.
Sorry.
So I'll go over just some key elements of this interactive here, some updates we've made to streamline this and also align it with all the scenarios that we have in play here. So once they do engage with the screen to begin play, they can play as a single player or 2-player mode here. If a player does begin as single player and then another student were to walk up, they could then begin the process as a single player as well. Just so we're kind of fitting both potential audiences here. The user is then asked to identify a topic of interest here that they want to address, whether it's the helmet laws, school nutrition, mental health services, working laws for minors, and fishing license. Once they select that scenario, they're given an overview and then directed to pick who they would like to pick a legislator that they would like to play as. So each of these are representative across a spectrum of those in opposition or in support of this scenario, each with a diverse background. And once they select the legislator, they're able to get a little bit more of their background, their age, where they're from, demographic, and where they stand in terms of the in support or opposition here. In this example here, we have Erica Hernandez, 47, lives in Laramie, a college professor, and she is currently undecided. Once they pick the legislator, they're sent into a committee meeting where they get to hear from members of the public. Each member of the public is required to be heard and considered in this. So they are to select each of those members of the public. We have a student, a member of the Coalition for a Lid-Free America in this scenario, a mother of 3, a pediatric surgeon, all that have a voice in this matter of helmet laws in this scenario. And once they hear from all of those members of the public, they're asked to cast their final vote, whether they're in opposition or support. Once those votes are in, and this is something that whether they're playing single player or 2-player, the votes coming in, part of it, whether they're in support or opposition of this law, they can see where those votes are coming in and how their vote compares to others. And then lastly, we have the different outcomes, whether the bill has passed or failed or out of the committee meeting, and just identifies why it has moved on in the way that it does. So we have all the different options of, based on the votes, how it could move forward. And then lastly, just a reflection screen that all votes are shaped by more than personal beliefs. So just trying to give them a little opportunity to be a part of that process here.
I have a quick question, if I could, Madam Chairman.
Go ahead.
Just on representation with the different characters and that sort of thing. Do we have Native American representation? I know sometimes when we get stuff from groups outside of the state, there's different ethnicities that are represented. But for us, I think just making sure that we have Native American voice or persona on there.
Yes, not currently, but that is definitely a lens that we can put on the legislators that are represented here.
Any other thoughts?
I like the concept. I was struggling to envision how that was gonna come to fruition, so this is really helpful.
Yeah.
With this one and the checks and balances one that we'll speak to a little bit later, there's a lot of flow charts involved. We take the scenarios and we build out all the gameplay options from there. And the game logic is really important for us to figure out and test internally before presenting to you all. So a lot of decisions that can be made throughout each of these games that we're factoring in.
So Meg, I'm sure you've talked about time. You know, that sort of hits into my head, getting 25 students around the room, and if you think we're okay on that front, I mean, are we gonna be able to get them through something like that?
Yeah, we have done a dwell time study is what we call it. The amount of time a visitor were to spend at a particular interactive. We do have them kind of in grand total throughout the room of 45 minutes. And we factored that into each of these gameplay opportunities throughout. So while one person may be playing a game, there's a lot of other engaging content throughout the wall. This particular one, I think we have between 3 and 5 minutes. But in how the builds are made, there may be options for students to kind of play together. Not necessarily every single person has to go up head to head on each of these interactives, and they still get the full experience here as well.
Yeah, I like it.
And this interactive is the build of this interactive is also designed so that ideally that they kind of speak to each other across the dais here. So hopefully they can have those conversations and other students can witness that conversation as well.
And sorry, one more thing, and I like this. I like the direction we're going. Just and I can't stress this enough. Just making sure that neither of the sides are biased in any way. I mean, I deal with educational material a lot, and just that is a critique that is always out there. And so just making sure with all those issues that we don't have a bias leaning one way or the other, or else we'll hear about it.
For sure, great point, Superintendent. The content writer that we have is a civics expert, and they have that same strong belief of removing the bias in these scenarios as well.
Great, thank you.
Okay, next up we have the executive station and the elected officials, a desk here. So this is the attract loop. One thing, the orientation of this is slightly altered in that It's oriented to the center of the room. The desk protrudes from the wall here. So we've kind of got this Pink Panther inspired a track loop here, where we're creating a sense of mystery here of what's on this desk and how they can interact with it. We have taken a lot of inspiration from kind of an escape room idea that was early on in this, and how they can figure out who the official is that they're gonna be like not investigating, but discovering more about.
And Mr. Chairman, this actually this screen is inlaid in the desk itself. So it's not a vertical screen. You'll be leaning over the desk to look at all of this. And this features the 5 statewide elected officials.
So in order to engage the visitor in this interactive post the track loop there, we present them with 3 mystery officials here. These file folders that once the visitor selects the folder, they're prompted to guess the role of the elected official they may explore. So there's a question that'll be asked of them in terms of duties or particular aspects of their role that they are supposed to guess the correct official. Once they've guessed the correct official, they're directed to find an object within the desk. Each side of the desk has 3 objects hidden within, as well as other artifacts and other engaging materials within the desk. That's where we kind of get that escape room, seek and find element within this interactive. And then once they find the book, they're able to place, or in this case, the book, to find the object that they are searching for. The objects are object recognition elements that interact with the table. So in this case, the book element that is placed on the table then becomes a controller, and that they can move that object throughout to reveal additional information and create engagement throughout. We actually do have Superintendent Megan Degenfelder featured in this one as well, where they can, one of the other main subjects that they can do is meet the current official here. So we feature a portrait and a little bit of their bio here, as well as a did you know section that they can explore fun facts about the official outside their government role here. So as they move the object to these hotspots, that information is revealed. Another really fun element about this table.
Mr. Chairman, can I actually interrupt for a minute? Because for the 5 statewide elected officials, this is also meant to engage kids. So some of the fun facts include things that might not normally be in your bio. Can you tell, actually, there's a couple fun ones for Superintendent Degenfelder about rugby and dogs. So the idea is more humanizing these officials for kids.
Yes. Yeah.
It's a tall order to make us exciting. You understand, don't we, Megan and Kurt?
That's right.
Vermeer, we're gonna highlight the honey, your honey.
Yeah. And running.
Ready? Yeah.
And I know somebody will ask this, but I'm assuming this is all easy to be changed because we know there will be some changes next year.
Yes,
Yeah.
and one of the aspects like we can highlight here is like the doodles, keeping them generic and specific
Gotcha.
to the position
To
rather-
minimize.
rather than specific to the individual. Yes,
The CMS will allow you to change
Yep.
the text content.
be able to upload new photos and.
Chairman. If there's only 3 folders, how do we get 5 left?
I was just gonna say that I'm sorry, you go.
Oh, yeah, so there's 2 sides to the table. And the reason that there's 3 folders on each side is that we have the 5 elected officials. We also feature the Wyoming citizen as their kind of our 6th element here, so that they know their role within the government as well. So there are 6 objects, 3 objects located physically on each side of the desk. So we present them with the 3 folders representing the 3 options within their side. That way we're not sending them to find an object that may be in another student's kind of space. So that is the division. And you can kind of see here, everything's kind of oriented on this lower half here. That's because 2 students can be playing this at the same time and at their own pace. That's what a really nice option of these interactive tabletops here is that they aren't really that dwell time question that you asked, Senator, they can really explore at their own speed. The last part of this interactive here that we'll highlight is we've got some what we'll call Easter eggs here. We were tasked with finding opportunities to feature content outside of those 3 main subject areas. So in this case, we have an opportunity to feature how elected officials work with each other. So in this case, when the object of the superintendent of public instruction is on the table, they can receive a pop-up, a letter from the treasurer. In this letter, they can open up and they are given information that specifies how they work together. And this is only in applications where there is a direct interaction from 2 officials. But that would pop up kind of as a hey, look at me type of information where they can engage with it. The other opportunity we have for that as well is a digital calendar where we highlight the commissions and boards that the officials actively serve on. So and we highlight it as an upcoming appointment. The calendar slides out and they can see all the different commissions and boards that are served on, and there's a little piece of content that can be featured there as well.
So is there anything as far as being interactive about having any of the officials, you know, be able to say and speak in these situations, or is it just all pop-up stuff and you have to read it?
This is all read content.
It's all read content. What have we got for the visually impaired in this in the whole civics lab?
We have the audio interactive on the citizen wall. But honestly, that probably is the limit.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
We do have the other sound elements within the agency cabinet as well.
Yeah. Sound and smell.
Yep, sound and smell.
Yeah, that's a whole different thing.
One of the considerations you have throughout, both in the digital space and in a physical print space, is that we are applying minimum contrast standards for visually impaired or low vision individuals. Those are standards that, especially in a digital environment, are really important for us to maintain that contrast aspect ratio. And it's something that those with low vision are familiar with as well. The physical objects we do have on this tabletop are very tactile as well.
It's a really good concern that you bring up, Maya. And it applies not just to the civics lab, but throughout the whole complex, the Capitol Square. All the other exhibits elements are all primarily read content, with the exception of like Portraits of History. But even that's got a strong visual component. It might be worth something considering in the future about how do we adapt this? Do we add some sort of audio tour that someone could use to go through the building? Support what we're doing visually.
Yeah, I guess when you look at people absorbing things, they do so in a lot of different manners, and some people can listen to a lecture and get it all, and the other person has to get out the book when they get home and read the whole thing, you know. So yeah, I think trying to use all of the senses to draw people into the interaction and into the understanding about, you know, the different kiosks in the Capitol. I think that I think it'd be a richer experience.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
real quickly, I know we talked about this with the gears, but these sound even cooler, and so. How are the objects going to be attached with a cord, or are they going to, I just think they will walk away?
We do intend to provide a duplicative set upon initial creation. We have taken a lot of those elements into consideration here with the size of these objects. It would be obvious if someone was trying to shove them in their pocket. But the objects are 3D printed. In the event that they have gone amiss, then they can be recreated. I think that there's only so much, unfortunately, we can do with the teenagers.
Right.
But ideally, they understand the importance and that these are tech pieces that are.
That's my concern.
But ultimately, because of how these are produced, there's not a high level of technology built within. They're 3D printed. I would say it's like 98% of the material is 3D printed. There's certain touch sensor technology that are on the base of these objects, similar to if you have like winterized gloves that work on a smartphone and have that technology. That's the tech aspect of it. But they are easy to reproduce.
Maybe make them cool, but not that cool.
Yeah, it's really, I mean, the piggy bank is pretty cool.
They'll like vibrate if they get too close to the exit.
Yeah, we were just talking.
Yeah, or like the metal, like
Unfortunately, that's why I wanted to speak to
I'm
the.
wrong, but I think these things are gonna disappear every other week. But
Yeah,
I hope I'm wrong.
I was sitting here thinking the same thing, and unfortunately, your worry is not just our teenage kids or our fourth graders. You know, it's everybody. In this day and age, you have to have things tied down, but we'll have to just wade in and see how deep.
Yes,
I don't know. I hope people will respect what is going to be an amazing environment. Going back real quickly, Meg, I really appreciated Nigel's thoughts about a next level sort of consideration. The treasurer brought up something I frankly had not gone to, and I really appreciate the question he asked. So I don't want to lose the fact that if our group continues as a governance type committee and we move on, unless DI is so completely tired of us that they want to just never come back to Wyoming, I think that's worth considering.
I do too.
Let's put that in our.
I mean, we actually, as a smaller team, we actually talked about, do we use Braille and all this, but it was gonna be too much with all these graphic pencils and stuff like that. But I think, if we got a narrator just to read the content and describe the images that someone could move around and just, we already have QR codes on a lot of these things. And there may be ways to link things. There are different ways to make this an audio experience as well as just a visual one. But obviously that's down the road, but
Let's make sure
definitely worth considering.
We've got a future considerations file, and let's make sure we put that item in there. I think that's really well thought out. Things.
Okay, headed to the last wall here, powers at PlayStation. We have Gears Interactive that will bring Jacob back in to speak to you here.
Yeah, absolutely. And Nigel, you and I might tag team on this one. But these are the approved colors that we have along this wall. Again, the intention for this is to have your students or users pick up these different branches of government and put them on the wall, showing how all different branches work together to make the machine run, right? So Meg, if you go to the next slide here. This kind of just gives you a general design idea of what's going to happen when all the gears are off. You have these 6 specific gears that don't really function without. You have the crank there in the center. You'll have a hint to which gear goes where. Each gear will also have its own indicator on the shaft. So you can't put the executive gear on the judicial one, for example. The executive must go on the executive gear slot, or else it won't work. The larger gears too will have puzzle pieces, which you can kind of see on the right, and you've seen this before, to slot right there in the center. Once you put all 6 gears on, you get all the puzzle pieces on, and you turn the crank, everything will light up, giving you an indication of you've done it right. You've made the government machine happen. And then if Meg, if you go to the next slide here, this kind of just gives you an indication of how quick everything will turn as you are cranking it.
So I've got a question. That seems like a fairly small crank. I think the mechanical advantage you're going to have on that, and you're going to have all of these gears moving. It's going to be pretty hard for a child to do that.
Yeah, and we've taken that into consideration. These gears
Yeah.
kind of behind the scenes are all motorized.
Okay.
Not to the extent where the student or the user is just going to turn on and on switch. There will be some resistance, but enough resistance to still be successful to a child.
So what have you got there? I didn't count the gears, but you've got a lot of motors.
It's mainly a belt-driven system, so there's
Okay.
4 motors, and then each motor has a essentially a rubber band behind the glass that will turn the other ones. Those rubber bands or those belts are really easy to replace, and you'll be given a surplus. So if at any point one breaks, you can get back there and swap it real quick.
Uh-huh. Okay, thank you.
Triggered by the action of the crank, so the crank almost serves as an on and off to the loops.
Okay, next up, we have the checks and balances. We do have an overview here. This is the one we are very much in the weeds on right now with all of the flow charts. We have about 5 different versions of every scenario and every type of flow charts. In the coming weeks, we'll be presenting those to the subcommittee for the final buy-off of those scenarios, making sure we're writing to the correct steps of the checks and balances process for the 3 scenarios that we have within this interactive. This is a 3-screen interactive that allows the visitors to play as each branch of government here. So the judicial screen, the executive screen, and the legislative screen. And the flow charts outline very specifics of how that branch of government interacts with the others in accordance with the scenarios that we put forth, and how they can also interact with each other just physically in the space. They can speak to each other and consider different things throughout. And that game logic is also being built to factor in if there is 1 player playing, 2 players playing, or 3 players playing, because it is a 3-part interactive and 3 screens. There's a lot to consider of if only the judicial and the legislative screens are in use, what does that look like? Then we'll have a computer player within the executive branch, so on and so forth. So a lot in the works on this one, and to get it right here. Oh, and the track loop is in development. We just kicked this one off last week, but because of Nigel's beautiful drawings of the background and how many panels we have that cover up those wall graphics, we're able to bring some of the wall graphics to life in this piece with the track loop. And the idea here is that these chess pieces move throughout the screens here. So it'll become that engaging piece here for the visitors.
I think it's pretty fascinating, and I bet your team has had some things to visit about on the federal level right now on the checks and balances piece. I mean, I've been thinking about that a lot these last couple of months, and so yeah, this is a kind of an important wall
Yeah, there's been a fair bit of head scratching.
Yeah. I'm very grateful for my civics knowledge in the past
Yeah.
6 months.
Mr. Chairman, you might recall, I don't know how long ago it was, but DI went through, I guess what we would call civic education school. And I think that you can really tell that's borne fruit in, as Meg was presenting us, like, what, you really know your civics.
And I actually wasn't in that class. But I have Nigel and Emilio to thank. They passed on all that knowledge, so they clearly learned it very well and passed it on.
And didn't one of the teachers review where we're at? They seemed really pleased with what we were doing, so that feels good.
Yeah.
Dick
I just-
Keene, our intern coordinator, reviewed all the content.
Oh, yeah, okay. Well, I just find it fascinating, at the federal level, the legislative branch has stood down for a while. So this checks and balances thing seems, at least from way out here, to be a little out of balance. But
Yeah.
So this will be useful for all of us to take a look at.
So one other kind of higher level question, and I kind of wondered this earlier when it was brought up, but how does like the passport, use, open up, get out your passport. How does that tie into all of this? Does it need to? I mean, hearing it was kind of a little strange just because we're not, traveling the world type of thing. And so just wondering how that applies to as a student works through all of this and if that's necessary.
Part of the function of the passport is to create this memory moment. When you're physically interact with something, it impresses on you the thing that you were interacting with more than just, it's like Treasurer Meyer mentioned earlier, people learn in different ways and they take in things in different ways. And sometimes it's reading and sometimes it's physical action. And the passport just gives us an opportunity to sort of seal that memory, as it were. And we came up with, I'm not sure why we came up with the word passport, but it does spell out the idea that it's a journey through the room, and we want to capture every one of those stations as they move through the room. So it's a simple takeaway object that they make an impression on that reflects their own, the strength they used and the moment they did it, that they can take home with them and share at the kitchen table with mom and dad later that day of the experience they had and keep in their keepsake box. Just as a memory, and hopefully that simple memory, that action of making that impression in the book, triggers a memory of this thing that they learned on that particular wall. It's not going to seal the deal or make everything anchored right into the grooves in their brain, but it's just one extra little bit of something that will help to reinforce the experience they had here.
I would think it might also serve to manage traffic in the civics lab, to say, let me show me you're missing this stamp. Head over to this, step away from the gears. We're gonna need
Exactly.
It does do that. That's a good point.
It kind of goes back to our initial the welcome interactive, where we asked them to divide up or go through a linear path throughout the room, because they may start at the executive station and they may end up at the judicial station last. They may not follow that path just based on availability of the different interactives. But yes, to Nigel's point, it's also it's a physical interactive piece where they have to physically go stamp. So it's another opportunity for them to be engaged in something while they may not be actively playing with a digital interactive or physical.
I kind of like the passport concept just from a teacher's standpoint too. You get done with the room and you're ready to head up to the House of Representative chamber or whatever is next on the docket, and the teacher can say, did everyone get to all the stations? And they can all show something that, so I think it's got some merit.
Madam Chair, I'd just add, I think this folks in this room know, so this was kind of stemmed from the passport of the Draper Natural History Museum to an extent, which is just highly popular. And just like you said, Nigel, really creates that memory of the experience. And the design, while in progress, kind of gives them those take-home messages for each of those stations as well.
Yeah, we each, for each stamp you get, the page opposite, describes the article in the Constitution that's related to that particular station. So we're reinforcing that constitutional story throughout, and that's the thing they take with them. I think it's very valuable.
And Madam Chairman, from a tourism perspective, it's like, it's remembering your visit to the state capitol. Like the state capitol passports across the United States are hugely popular. But to have that one that I went to the state capitol, this is what I learned, like there's just a keepsake message to it for a student too, or an older person.
Yeah. And for some, it will mean nothing and they won't want to do it. But for the ones that will, it'll be the kind of anchor to their experience.
I was just at the Ottawa, the capital of Canada, and it's all shut down and I was kind of bummed. I could take nothing from it. But a picture, I was like, but I want some tangible, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, excellent.
Okay.
Thanks, Matt.
Yeah, we've got some physical samples to take a look at, as well as the walk. First and foremost, we did some engineering here this morning. So the powers at play station, there is the vault door, that is it's in progress of being built, that the visitor can engage with. And when they open that door, they're exposed to one of 4 quotes.
So there's the mirror.
It's a mirror. It's a photo opportunity as well. But when they open the door, it's triggered one of the 4 quotes that has been established. And it's revealed with that opening of the door. So this is just one of them. But again, they open the door and then they are exposed to just one of the 4. And as they were to continue, if they want to keep opening, they're gonna get all 4 eventually. But it's that photo opportunity and reminders of their role within this separations of power station. And for those online, I'll play the video here as well. Well, this is actually a different one. This is a different one of the other 4. Okay.
I also brought, and
Oh,
this
yes.
is, it's terrible for people online because you won't be able to see this, experience it, but a mini version of the slider puzzle for you guys to play with. And I just mocked that up at the office last week and thought it would be fun for you to see how it works. But it's gonna be 5 feet by 5 feet. It's the slider puzzle where you move things around to get the journey of legislation through the chambers to become law or not on the table. So if you got a moment, have a go and see. It's more difficult than you would think.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. So I messed it up. It's not in order right now. But unless we have any other questions around here, we were gonna go down the hall and look at.
Sorry,
Yeah.
Nigel. I'm wondering, since we have some of our members online, if we don't, a little bit on the fly, just adjust our agenda and go ahead and do everything
That's
in
smart,
this room
yeah.
and then have our walk at the end so that those folks don't have to then guess exactly how long it's gonna be that we're gonna be exploring.
Yes, that's a smart idea.
Okay, awesome. I'm excited to do that. So with that, then we will go into our discussion regarding the Four Sisters maquettes.
Madam Chairman, I did correspond with El Assad, the artist. He's kind of provided a number of different options pricing wise. And the important note is that the molds for the maquettes that currently exist, that are in the governor's office right now, those molds no longer exist. So any additional sets that we would want to purchase would have to be recreated. And so what that means is, if we wanted to go down that path, be negotiable on scale. They would certainly kind of match the draping of the final Four Sisters versus the original maquettes. So that's kind of the broader context. And what he did is provide pricing for per set. basically, and has kind of said he doesn't really want to make just truth or whatever. It wants it to always be the 4. So the pricing he provided for just the existing artist proof is $45,730. If we start to commission additional sets, that pricing kind of just per set goes down. So for the artist proof plus 1 new set, it would be $44,730 per. And then for 2 new sets, $44,250, and then from there, it's basically for each additional set, it's a $500 discount per set is what it kind of works out to. And so that is the information he provided to us. He's certainly willing to work with us in terms of, I know there was some conversation about the state having right of first refusal if additional additions were created. He's open to that in the contract if we decide to pursue additional new work. But basically anything beyond the existing set is new work being created. It's not kind of taking an existing mold and just making more copies of it.
So, Madam Chairman, this is a good conversation to have, and I would suggest and really welcome input from the subcommittee, but I think we should pay for those original 4 maquettes that we have. Beyond that, I'm not real warm and fuzzy about going off and contracting with the artist to start over and recreate these 4 sisters, for example. So that's just me. Feels like it's a no-brainer that we should purchase the ones that exist. I'm just not real lit up on venturing off and creating new ones.
I concur. Yeah. I don't think there's I think without a very solid plan and very firm direction, which we do not have from the legislature, I would struggle, I think, to spend that additional money, particularly again, without a destination. And I think that strikes the balance of they are really sort of one of the crown jewels of the renovation, and part of that is in their singularity.
Yeah.
So, guys, a little bit on that conversation there. We've got 4 of them, and they're larger than what the guy could do as far as doing small ones. I thought we had a game plan that we were going to look at trying to find final destinations, and I'm just wondering what the timeline is here on this, as far as if we don't do anything this year, is the artist going to be available to do it at another time upon finding 5 or 50 people that want to buy these things?
Treasurer, I think that's a good question. I get the impression that if we, the state of Wyoming, were to go back in 1 or 5 years, that he would probably be willing to do that at any time. I think currently some of our stumbling blocks are we don't have a plan, and we don't know that we don't, or please someone correct me if I say this wrong, but we don't have any authorization to sell them and keep that money for anything. And where would it go? And I can tell you where it would go. It would go to the general fund, because anything not designated by law goes to the general fund. So without, I don't feel comfortable making that decision without more specific legislative direction. It feels like,
yeah, I think what we could do though, auditor, is look at, you can do a budget footnote pretty easy as far as directing the funds, and and you got a 2-year time period to, during the budget to actually have some resolution on it, or, people come forward or they don't come forward, and then it's to me, it'd be like a session law, and if it works, it doesn't work, or what'll happen will happen. I know that we had a various range in there. I think that maybe just something to say that would authorize this subcommittee to explore, the costs associated with the production of miniatures, and then, it doesn't, I don't care if it goes to the general fund, as long as, it's, if they're 4 of them are 20,000, or 4 of them are 40,000, whatever it's gonna be, it's gonna be, but, yeah, well, if you guys want to give up on it, fine, I'll go ahead and talk to somebody in the appropriations committee to see if they can do something.
Yeah, Treasurer, I think that's a good plan, and if we get additional direction from there, we go forth, but at least we do have some numbers, some rough numbers that the 4 of them are definitely not gonna cost 20,000. If the state cost is right around 45, and yes, that goes down with volume, but probably not a lot.
Yeah, were the ones that the state's gonna buy, were they like 30 or 40 inches tall, and the miniatures were 18 or something, or am I misremembering that?
Yeah, Kevin, do you have that?
Yeah, Madam Chairman, Mr. Treasurer, 22 inches on a marble base are the current versions. And so I think, to your earlier question, I mean, certainly we could proceed right now with purchasing the existing set if, with legislative direction, there is a desire to go back and work with the artist to produce additional ones. Like, I think that he would probably be open to that. You never really know for sure, but everything so far.
And he's gonna charge us how much for the 4 of them?
So depending on how many, but assuming you were just getting one additional set, it's about 45,000. As you get up to, 10 plus, you get down to about 40,000, maybe a little below 40,000 for a set. No.
Okay.
And I think the most that he kind of gave us numbers for was to buy a set of 20 additional, which was 35,000. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, thanks for the numbers. Appreciate it.
I think, for me, I think that hinge point for me is just, we have the 4 existing maquettes, and I think we could recommend that we go ahead and purchase those. I'm not sure what process the subcommittee needs to, if that's sort of a consensus of the committee, that I think.
Well, I offered before, and I'll offer again, if he wants to do 2 sets at 45, I'll buy a set. But, however you guys want to roll with it. Just give me the artist's name and contact information, and I can go directly, I guess.
Not if we.
Wendy, do you have a thought for how we handle it? I think we're all in agreement that it feels like we're all in agreement that we should purchase the 4. So let's take that step first. What does that take?
Madam Chair, Mr. Chairman, I just wanted to bring up that this is in that $2.3 million appropriation that currently is in the Capitol Square Preservation Account. And that money can be used for, and it is not line item, for acoustics, bollards, which has another funding source Brandon will discuss, and maquettes. The issue that Auditor Racinas, Madam Chair, brings up is that currently in that 2.3 million, it doesn't say anything about, it just says purchase. It doesn't say for resale and where funds would go. So there's a couple of options. If you want to buy the artist set now, the state of Wyoming would own that, and that would be very, very appropriate to have that type of set. The additional sets you buy, you would want to decide if and when you ever did that, you would need some sort of legislative authorization if you wanted to do them as a fundraising mechanism. Right now, that appropriation does not include the idea of resale, and where that money would go would be to the general fund. So I think kind of separating those two issues, if your motion is to buy the artist proof now, and if you got additional legislative direction in the future that said those funds could be deposited, say, back in the Capitol Square preservation account, if you ever chose to go that route.
I guess clarification, does the state of Wyoming have a license on it, and the artist can't sell those to anybody else, or is it his property or right to reproduce them?
Madam Chair, Mr. Treasurer, the state does not have any real authority to prevent the artist from creating additional versions of this, because again, at this point, this is a new artwork that he will have to create. He's free to do so. He owns the copyright on the originals as well.
Okay.
So.
All right, thank you.
And Madam Chair, just one more piece of this is, of that 2.3 million, we are still working through, we have finalized design, and construction management will be going out to bid for the acoustics project. And we do not know yet what your total price will come in for bidding on all of that acoustics work.
Madam Chairman, so Wendy, thanks for that. I think that clarifies, maybe a two-step process here. I think that the first that we might consider would be, if we're in agreement, we just make that recommendation that we go forward on purchasing the 4. Regarding the treasurer's sentiments about the future of these sets, I don't think that has to be locked away in a vault by any means. If this group continues as a governance committee representing the executive and the legislative branch, there's no reason why it couldn't be brought up. It's a brand new piece of art. I mean, at any point we can re-engage and have that artist develop, like statues and sell some maquettes, or just order a couple new sets. It's just at this moment, I don't feel like there's a real rudder on the ship. If we purchased a whole bunch of maquettes, who's going to head that up? Who's going to take the point guard position? And having done a project like this, the Thunderbird up in Casper, we sold the maquettes, and I can just tell you that somebody's got to be in charge of that, and somebody's got to do that work, and it's quite extensive. So with that in mind, we could certainly, I think, consider that going forward. But for now, it just feels like we could make the recommendation. Let's go ahead and pick up the 4 that we have. So I guess that would be a motion if we need to do a motion on that.
Wait, before we do that, so my recollection is he made a promise at one point in time to sell these for about 25,000, not for 47. So how did we approach him about this? How did the price double? Or am I mixed up on this?
I'm Chair Representative. I'm not sure that it was ever quite at that price, unless we were buying like a really substantial.
I've got it in my notes.
Volume. But certainly, I think, we basically just asked him, like, can you offer us prices for?
So that's part of the problem.
1 through 12.
The communication may have been, remember, you promised this price.
Sure.
And we accept. I think, Wendy, we had this conversation a couple of months ago.
I will say part of what he had relayed to me in terms of the pricing is that several years ago, the molds for those maquettes were still in existence. And so part of the additional cost of this pricing is basically his time to recreate the.
Well, I'm talking about the existing, the artist proofs. Those were about 25,000. We didn't really have a price on the newer ones at that time.
Madam Chair, Representative Nicholas, we can go back and look at that pricing, and it's certainly something that we can negotiate, especially since the artist proof is already in existence, so there's not additional foundry costs or a mold that needs to be made. So it's certainly something that state parks could negotiate on the artist proof. I don't have the figures from the 2019-2020 timeline in front of me right now, but as you may recall, there was always a little bit more of a premium on an artist proof. And then at that time, we were working under the assumption of a fine art set, which would be artist proof plus 11. And then the pricing went down per piece for that. I don't have that in front of me, but it has the price every year that we ask, the price has gone up without a doubt. And I think that's something that if Kevin was comfortable with, if the motion included for state parks to negotiate the best price for the artist proof set, we could do that. We're at a public meeting right now.
Madam Chairman, I would consider that a friendly amendment, and appreciate the representative bringing that up. I do think we were offered those for cheaper a few years ago.
And we could have bought them then.
And I think we negotiate.
We had conversations with them about how long we keep that price as well in the past. So the problem is if you just reacquaint it without reacquainting the facts to them, you always get a different number from them, and that's been part of the issue. But I think you just have to be more aggressive about it. And I'd be happy to be participating.
I think that would be very appropriate, Madam
So,
Chairman.
and by the way, obviously I'm the person that put the maquettes in the language that created it for the 2.3 million. And I don't want to give up on this ship. I'm a little bit like Kurt. I think that there is value to it. And if we have to create a structure around it, so be it. I wasn't a fan of the small ones that we talked about, the 12-inch ones or 10, or just kind of cheap ones that then everyone would make a little commission off of it. But that, I wasn't that interested on that. But to have sets of 11, if it's the right price, it'll be invaluable for 200 years or 300 years for the state of Wyoming. It has real possibilities about it. We may have already crossed that bridge just because of the current budget structure and then the powers that be, because times have changed. But I don't want to foreclose those possibilities. But I'd be happy to participate.
Welcome back.
Yeah, Bob, I'll work with you and we'll I guess talk back and forth and see what we might be able to do on that. And get back and report to the committee. And I think it will take a budget amendment. Wouldn't you think that'd be the quickest way to do it?
Actually, it's just an allocation. The money's already there. If we choose to do it that way, depends on. I mean, we're gonna have to talk about additional finances to do other work to finish off the thing anyway.
Well, I think we get to it. We could make a few phone calls. I bet you we could sell, maybe a dozen of them, but I think you'd have to get the price down to, 30,000 or less, and he might do it, I mean, he wants 40 for the next 10, see what we can do, because we need a little bit of money in there for the time of the state. They're going to be numbered, and I agree with you that, if you have a limited number of sets, they'll be worth some money. Good, one of a kind collectibles.
Is there a second on that motion?
Does everybody understand my motion? Thank you, Madam Chairman.
I understand it.
I think the suggested addition to the motion by Representative Nicholas is spot on. I don't think we shut the door on anything, but I think today the motion would be that we go ahead and purchase the 4. We can sort through in the coming weeks how we need to work through either budget processes or a concept framework of what we would do if we purchased additional ones, knowing that he's going to have to recreate them. So there's timeframes involved, there's plenty of time. It's gonna take him a while anyway, so I think that is what, does everybody understand then where the subcommittee would be going with that?
Yeah, yeah. And I guess I challenged everybody to call one of their best friends with and see whether you can sell a set of them and tell them we don't know what the price is, but you need to guarantee that you're going to buy one.
Yeah. Yeah, I bet I could sell one.
Have fun with that one, guys. Okay, we'll work on it.
The guy who handles all the money.
Just two questions. Kevin, if the,
Yeah,
if we go back,
I'll second it if you need it.
Thank you, Treasurer.
Okay, all right.
if we go back to the artist and ask him, obviously he has to recreate the molds and everything. Are we able to put a thing on that they belong to the state of Wyoming? I mean, could we negotiate that in so that he couldn't sell them outside of whatever he wanted to sell them for?
I think you could designate.
That's the word I'm looking for.
You could designate that these are official state of Wyoming replications for, the Four Sisters, but I think he could basically do ones that weren't numbered or something, but they would be essentially not have the collective value of actually official state reproductions.
It would be atypical for the way the state typically handles art contracts to own the copyright. I mean, that's just the way the Arts Council has practiced this over the years. The artist maintains the copyright. I mean, that's not law, that's just what the practice has been. So there's always the option if we want to. I don't think artists generally are very open to that. But he has expressed, I think, a willingness to at least do the state a kind of right of first refusal, which is basically if I create more, the state can buy them, and if the state declines, then he can put them on the market or whatever. But I think it's also important to note, like, this work.
We had this discussion 5 or 6 years.
Yeah, this work, I mean, its value is primarily because of its association with, it's not that there's a huge private market for this outside of the state government kind of. So.
And just to put this into the conversation, if we're talking about selling these for a fundraiser, we're talking about, is there 12, 20, 40 people in Wyoming that are willing to pay 60, 70, 80? They're not paying 45.
Right.
That's our cost.
Yeah.
We need to add on to that. And is that number? Because you don't want to invest in 12 at 45,000 and break even if that's not the purpose of it. So I think that's the bigger picture, is we have to tack on how much do we want to raise per set, and is there enough people that would do that?
Yeah, it's all what you can buy them for and what you can sell them for. And I think we'll find that out over the course of the next few months. So,
Amy, I think that's a very good point, Madam Chairman. I appreciate that's exactly what you have to do. You've got to sit down and conceptualize, what are you going to do with them? So if you buy 12 sets of these, then the treasurer's right. Then you have to go out to the world and see who would like to have them, and what do you want to make on them? You want to make your money back, or do you want to make some money what agency is going to take this on? Is it going to be the Department of Tourism? Don't you shake your head no.
We got rodeo.
There you go. Anyways, yeah.
Madam Chair, I will just say this conversation feels really bizarre to me. Not like I'm in 100% agreement that we should purchase the original 4. But when we're talking numbers that are way beyond what I make in a year, definitely way beyond what my constituents make in a year, it just feels out of context with our current economic climate. And when our constituents are having a hard time figuring out housing and utility and food and childcare costs, that we're talking about paying this much money for a fundraiser seems just very bizarre to me. So I'm actually not in favor of going beyond purchasing the the original 4. I just feel like that's a good place to stop.
Yeah, I don't know. There's a lot of money in different places besides our constituents. I agree with you that there might be one person in Goshen County that might run up the flag on that, for 50,000 or something, but we can't buy them for 45. We're gonna have to buy them for 30 or something like that, but I would I'll call up some people and see what they're willing to do. I mean, if they're willing to spend $150,000 for a plate at a political event, this is I think a lot more substantial than that, but I don't know. So I think before we start the process, just out of hand, that we should get some more information and find out whether or not it's a feasible operation, no matter where it goes. So I guess I'm with Bob on this one. Let's call for the question, see what happens.
All right, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, we beat that
Mackett.
Thank you. All right, on to bollard installation update.
So the bollards are currently being installed as we speak. They're actually pouring out front of the Capitol today. They finished up the curb and gutter in front of that, which looks 10 times better than it did before with crumbling concrete. I believe that once they get done on the Capitol side of things, which should be in the next week, I believe, then they'll be jumping over to the Supreme Court to begin that process over there. So I believe the schedule is to be done by the first of the year with that whole bollard process.
I think it's really gonna look better, isn't it?
It's gonna look, well, you get those Jersey barriers out of there, anything will look better. So that process is going and moving forward, and things have all been ordered and are on site and ready to be installed.
Good stuff.
Awesome. Thank you.
So they'll be theoretically done by session,
Yes.
even though it's a little cold for concrete.
I made that point yesterday, yes.
I guess I've learned a lot about concrete. Been thinking about up in the western Wyoming mountains pouring concrete, and they said, "Oh, you ran out of time in August up there because it gets so cold, it won't set up." But you can use hot water, you can have tarps and heated tarps, and so I guess you could do it. It just costs more money if you do it in the winter, right? Is that right, Brandon?
Absolutely. You can go as far as heating the ground too, to pour concrete and make that happen, but it does come at a premium.
Yeah, there you go. So. Well, good deal. Thanks.
I know, I feel like we should send out a wellness check on.
Revenue and management.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. Any public comment? Assuming we don't probably have anybody online.
No manager.
Okay, I've closed public comment. Other meetings and adjournment, December 16th, and what should we expect as far as homework assignments in the next?
Madam Chair, I believe, as Meg indicated earlier, we'll be sending you the 50% interactive for the legislative station for you to review. And then as I think the goal is to continue to get content wrapped up by the end of this month so that can go into production. So you all done a good job of staying attentive to your email. And we will just continue to send reviews through as they require your attention with the hope of meeting an installation date during this upcoming budget session.
Great.
So Madam Chairman, Meg, are we gonna be graded on this?
I mean,
Thank you for everything, being here today. Good.
Awesome. Yes, thank you.
And Madam Chairman, a few notes before we go on the walk, and Nigel and Meg can probably guide you through this. When you go into the room, you're going to see proofs of what you have reviewed in file stage. And there's a couple important notes that I think DI will appreciate if we bring up, which is the panels themselves are already in fabrication. So we have the real estate we have. So if someone were to say, this type needs to be twice as big, we would have to lose half of the tech. So this is mainly kind of a gut check, like one of the things. I was like, I didn't know this ship has sailed a little bit. But it is good. Your eye does notice things. One of the things we've noticed is that putting, again, for skimmers, and some of these kids will be skimmers, who are just trying to hit the high points. You'll see on one of the panels, DI has turned the text, handwriting versus a typed font and a different color. That helps those words jump out. So those would be the types of things that DI is looking for. If there's anything that catches your eye that is just simply too small, they can tweak it, but it's really, if we were to say right now that the text size needs to increase by 2/3, that would really put us back quite a ways because we'd have to content rewrite. So that's the only, I guess, caution that I would provide. I don't know if DI has.
I would also say the panels that we've hung up there, which is just paper, don't reflect the very last round of changes that are in the system right now. So there may be a few bits and pieces that aren't quite up to date, but we had to print them to get them out here. So.
We do have the at scale prints, but as well as the smaller color accurate color prints as well, so you can see the contrast of things as we spoke to earlier.
So if you see duplicates in there, the smaller ones are not what you'll see in the room. They're for color matching.
The smaller ones are printed on the actual vinyl that will produce the panels. The larger ones are just on paper stock.
And if you all want, we can walk down the West Hall, which has been completed as part of the student path.